supports in place to take care of all the issues that they can't deal with. So if you don't have a support group in place, you're less likely for the individual to be resilient, because there are too many things that you have to deal with. And when you want to focus on your own well-being, you don't need people asking you the wrong stuff. So I told a limited number of people, and we kept them up to date. I told my wife knew, of course. My sister, I don't think I told my kids, and I told a few friends, and that was it. And all the friends were supportive from the beginning. They told me I could do it. They knew I could do it.
Were the people of choice people that you presumed, or they showed you that they were having the same characteristics as you? People who were positive, people that you was it by something they showed you while you disclosed it to those individuals?
I kind of knew from their behavior and their personal attitudes, and they were close enough.
Okay.
In terms of friend status. I kind of knew I could trust them to say the right thing and keep it like that. So I told the people I needed to have this confidence, and I kept them up to date. When I was halfway through the process, I then told my kids and my in-laws, because I knew they would worry and be concerned, but the fact that I was already halfway through treatment and they didn't know was really enough of a support for them not to worry, even though my in-laws are still concerned. But one of the things I knew from the beginning, if I would start working out and lose some weight and try to build some muscle, because I was bound to lose a lot of muscle from the process and a whole bunch of other things. So the better I looked at it and changed my diet even more so. I mean, it was pretty healthy to begin with, but changed my diet and focused more and more on nutrient support levels for me, it would make it easier for me to do that. So that continued. We finished the treatment in the beginning of November. I got my medical exams. I went to my cardiologist, my dermatologist, because of the radiation issues, skin issues, checked that there's no, me to make a cancer anywhere for something that was benign turning into something not benign. Went to, also saw my ophthalmologist, because the ophthalmologist can see an awful lot of what's going on in the body by looking into your eyes. And everybody was fine, and a few of the people were actually, the medical people, the other medical specialists were very interested in what I was doing, and they wanted to know where I went. And one of them was said, oh, he's very happy I didn't go to a hospital, and that I was being treated at a standalone oncological center. So now it's after the fact, I'm still not taking everything. 6 weeks after I started taking more vitamin C, I added more vitamin C into my diet and more mushrooms. I changed what I was doing. I belonged for the whole time, and even before, to a men's support group on Yahoo of cancer survivors of basically incurable cancers. And these are guys who are, by this time, probably more knowledgeable than most doctors on the issues. They understand their cancers, their methylation factors. They know everything that's going up. They know all the cancer pathways. They're talking about things. And at this point, I'm really writing in, telling what I'm doing, and seeing what they're doing, getting comments back on their observation on what I should be doing. And at that time, now it's sort of where after the treatment and I'm into recovery, I'm still getting shots that are suppressing my testosterone, and it's another 3 months after that.
How does a support group helps?
Because everyone's positive. I didn't hear any bad news. People are saying, how you doing? You look great, you look great, you look great. That's really nice to hear. And we know you can do it. You really look good, whatever. So it was in December that I, on a Saturday night, invited a bunch of people over to our house. We had about, I don't know, 12, 18 people over in a house. And I'd written up a piece about all of this, about the history of the beginning and the starting and the end. And I'm a life coach, and I'm focusing on, one of the issues I'm focusing on is trying to help people deal through this process. I'll get to that in terms of the support that I saw as I attended some of the support groups. And I wrote this letter, and I had a meeting with a group with all these people, some of whom had cancer, and kind of took the cure as being final in their personal case, that the doctor said I'm fine. They never changed their lifestyle. They didn't do anything. They got chemo, and in their case, it, quote, worked, whatever. And I told them my story, and I told them I had cancer, and had it, and I was in remission, and what I had done, and the advice I had gotten, and that the sunflower story, and change your life, change your routine, focus on being alkaline as much as possible, get rid of the sugar in your diet, try to get to a healthy weight. All these things we talked about because I knew at that time there were people in the group who had cancers and really weren't doing anything.
I wanted to just veer off a little bit and introduce this question. I was a little taken back when you said and impressed of your continual way of living positive, even in your remission. Do you think some people who hear the word remission when they go through the chemo or whatever it may be, that they hear remission and think remission is where you don't have it anymore, and don't understand that it's in your body, it's just active? You think it's ignorance?
No, people don't know what the word remission means, and people don't know what the word cured means, and even if people heard the word cured, it doesn't mean that they're cured, because nobody knows anything. And people who don't even have cancer don't realize, as I tell them, everybody's got cancer. Everybody's got cancer. If you're a human being, you've got cancer cells in your body. So one of the things I understand from what I've read about a lot of this stuff, whether your treatment is with chemo or with radiation, it has an effect on the cancerous cells in different ways, or whether it's surgery. It has an effect in different ways, but it doesn't deal with stem cells. And the cancer stem cells are sitting over there, and it's very easy for them to sprout at any given time in the future. So you have to be constantly be on guard, and make your terrain, the physical environment of your body, very inhospitable for cancer to grow, which means a mental attitude, psychological attitude, physical things, what you do, how you do it. One of the killers is stress. So how do you deal with stress? How do you minimize two things: the actual amount of stress in your life, plus your body's reaction to the stress and the damage that the stress does. So you can deal with some of the damage by taking appropriate adaptogens like holy basil and schixandra and rhodalia, because all these things have success in dealing with stress, but you will not win the battle unless you reduce the actual amount of stress. So you have to try to have a reduced stress life. And stress is the demands that are put upon us mentally, emotionally, physically, and the overstress and the negative stress exists when we don't have enough resources to deal with it. So when you put a load of greater on your head than you can handle, you fall down. So you have to find a way to do two things: build up your strength and reduce the load, both at the same time. You can't just do one. So you need support group, you need people around you, you need people to understand. You need to have people know that I've changed my life and I don't do certain things. I'm not available for everybody all the time because I have my issues that I have to deal with. I'm not a servant to everybody else. I have to take care of me, like when you're on an airplane and they say, put the air mask on yourself first, because if you don't do that, everybody dies. If you save yourself, self-care is critical in dealing with all illnesses, especially in something like cancer that can be very pervasive if it metastasizes. So you have to do two things: deal with the one you've got and prevent it from growing somewhere else. So at that stage, I'm now faced, in 6 months after I've stopped, I had my last Lupron shot in February of 2017. I wanted to get, after that, I was due for another one in May. I wanted to get a full accounting of what's going on in my body, because I knew there was damages that were done. So I wanted to get my hormones tested. The urologist wasn't interested. The oncologist wasn't interested. I talked to my general practitioner, and I had a new one at this time, and he agreed. I got a full battery of tests, took a look at the things. My testosterone was 7. 7 is equivalent to 0. And I had the beginning, because I got a DEXA scan that wasn't recommended, but should have been recommended, and it indicated I'm the beginning of osteopenia. I started doing more research, picked up some American Cancer Society publications, and lo and behold, what does it say? Reduction of testosterone almost always causes osteopenia or osteoporosis, because You need testosterone to rebuild bone. So you need osteoblast because you have osteoclast. The bones are falling apart as a normal process, but they're not rebuilding. So that was an issue, and I knew other issues were going to be taking place. I read some stuff from some neurologists. If you're a man, you don't have enough testosterone, it's going to affect your mental abilities in the medium term and for sure in the long term. Lack of testosterone is an indicator for Alzheimer's and dementia-related issues, and that's a major thing. And also cardiological problems, cardiac problems. So I decided I was going to stop the testosterone, which I did, and I was going to try to work on building myself up naturally, doing more work at the gym, because I was at that time losing muscle and a few other things. So back at the gym again, working and trying to meditate and do a whole bunch of things. So basically the whole process is going to be 2 years in June, from the beginning of this till this state. And mental attitude is really important. Read a lot of books on trying to stay positive, realizing that you can affect the outcome to a great extent. It's not all just a crapshoot, as they used to say. You have the opportunity to deal with this. So you need again to surround yourself. But now that I'm past the stage, I can be a little bit arrogant. So when I have people who are not supportive, I can put them in their place, because they need to understand the situation in their own lives. And most people don't want to do it. People want to eat ice cream. People want to eat McDonald's. French fries, number one vegetable in America. And that's never going to change, because that's the way the people are. But there are many people. I attended a session today here in this library, this morning at 10 o'clock, on natural remedies. And it turns out that the library has a resource, Palm Beach County Library has a resource, the main branch, that's available to everyone, with information on all kinds of natural stuff that's available, what's working, what's not working, where you can go, who you can do. You can ask enough questions, they'll do a full analysis for you of the research, that information that's available, and send you a report of what's available, and you can talk to people. And the funny thing there, everybody in that group who was an attendee, when something came up, they said, well, the doctors don't know this, the doctors don't know the bad effect, they're giving you stuff you shouldn't be taking. And a whole bunch of issues, not just cancer things, people with thyroid problems, people with this and saying, if you take synthol, it's going to destroy the calcium in your bones. You have to do something to deal with that. So as I found, you don't get enough information in the beginning about all the things you have to do. Your self-care is critical. You have to look after yourself.
That's
a positive attitude.
You're a man of research and who look into things. So what you've just underlined is what is... I would humbly say is an FDA problem. You can look into why I say that, and then we'll just go back to what you're saying. But what you're saying is not a doctor problem; it's an FDA problem.
Oh, the medical system. So, yeah, no. I mean, the whole thing of proving the efficacy of treatments or whatever else. It's basically the system that's in place now. Only is something that will only approve medicines. It's really difficult to do a double-blind tests when you're giving people food. And when you're looking at the long-term intake of a diet, it's very hard to have an imitation broccoli that looks like broccoli that isn't broccoli. So people know they're actually eating broccoli. And when you realize that cruciferous vegetables are important, you need to have a lot of books have been written. Dr. Joel Furman wrote a book on super immunity. So if you need to eat sulfur type foods, you need to have onions and mushrooms. The Japanese use mushrooms in most of their medicines, or anti-cancer medicines. Full spectrum of mushrooms, and mushrooms have to be processed in an appropriate way. They have to be either hot water extracts or alcohol extracts. It depends on the mushroom, depends where it's from the mycelium or the actual fruit of the mushroom, how critical that is. The cruciferous vegetables, how if you're going to have broccoli, you have to chew the broccoli before you heat it. If you're going to heat it, because of the way the enzymes work with the sulfurones in the broccoli, you want to, and there are doctors around who know stuff. You can find the research.
What I really want to get out of this, Harvey, is we've been going around the country and talking to many people, and this tablet goes with me wherever, and we speak to a large spectrum of people. I am coming across the same issue. You earlier on determined and saw in your own insights You had a zeal to live, you wanted to live, you took the proactions too. Even if it means giving up some so-called freedoms to give you freedom to live. The neighbor and people of that mentality, rest in peace to her, I see another mentality with people, and they'll actually die for their so-called freedom. Freedom to have my own way, even if at the cost of life. That little nugget is what I'm trying to break in people.
Well, you have a personality. You have two kinds of personalities. You have the personality. I saw this in business a long time ago when I was working as an internal consultant in a lot of corporations. You have two issues. You have the desire to be right or the desire to win. Many people have the desire to be right, which means do it my way, because I know me and I'm right, and you do it my way. Other people have the desire to win, which means if your idea is better than my idea, I'll use your idea because I want to win. And early on, many years ago, there was a book called Up the Organization. It's about the story of Avis Rent-A-Car in the beginning, and the guy who wrote the book, I think it was Robert Townsend, I think, it's many years already. He said, I always hire people smarter than me because that way they can do my work. If I'm smarter than they are, then I have to do their work.
And my work.
And in most cases, you won't find that. People like to have their employees dumbed down less to them. I do what I tell you to do, and I didn't ask you to be creative. Just do what I tell you to do. And it's that attitude, which is, I'm right, do it my way. And when people have that attitude, it's because they really don't have a desire to win, which is, I need to find the best thing that will work for me because I have an objective I want to achieve. And a lot of people don't want to change their lifestyle. They don't want to. They think that the doctor will solve everything. Give me the injection and make it all go away. And they really don't want to look at it. They don't, the immediate gratification of not doing anything is more powerful for them than the potential to survive. But what I realized early on, you actually don't have the immediate gratification because you don't feel good anyway. So the funny thing is, I mean, I have to acknowledge this. I live in a community here that's a 55 and over community. We have a gym. We have a coach in the gym who's seasonal. He lives in the community, but they only put him on duty in season. And I met him in the middle, after I'd finished my radiation, in the middle of my process. Well, our coach is 82 years old. I'll repeat that, 82 years old. And it's really, really embarrassing because he's in like really great shape. But he's not in great shape for 82. He's in great shape for 62. So it makes it even more embarrassing. Mm-hmm. And Jeff has been around the world. He's done a lot of things. And early in his life, he did Tai Chi and karate and everything else. And guess what? He can still do Tai Chi and karate and everything else. And he was a big help, and I learned from him. And after all of this, in the middle of all this stuff, he asked me a question, and I said, yeah, I can do this, and I'm doing 25 squats and whatever else. I said, Jeff, I'm embarrassed to say it, but at my age, I'm now 73, at my age, I'm in the best shape of my life. After all of this crap, what do I mean? I can do things now that I didn't do before. Why? Because I never tried to do them before. Yeah, I played sports, I played tennis, I played this when I was a kid, but it wasn't with the intention of having some kind of physical capability and stamina. And when you see, quote, the old guys get together in the gym and do something, it's really encouraging. Not that, I can't do what they can do. The fact is, at their age, they can do it. And one of the guys in the gym just goes over to the pull-up bar, and he looks at the bar. He climbs a step on the step stool there. He puts his hands on, moves his feet, and he does 3 chin-ups. Mm-hmm. And his body doesn't quiver. Mm-hmm. And he does 3 chin-ups, complete chin-ups. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the 3rd chin-up, he just hangs there for 30 seconds. And his body doesn't move, it doesn't quiver, it doesn't shake. And if you think this is easy, it's not easy. My objective isn't to do a chin-up. My objective is to hold on and not fall off for 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. And then next week it'll be 4 seconds. And when you see that, it's encouraging because you see a guy who's 70 years old who can do that. Mm-hmm. And he's at the beginning. So the point is, you have to put in the effort in a whole bunch of ways. You have to realize life is based on growth, not death. And if you want to live a healthy life and you want to be mobile and you don't want to be stuck with a walker and you don't want to give yourself a debilitating problem and these things can move from one part of the body. You know, I hope I'm clear, but I want to make the terrain of my body inhospitable place for any tumors to take root. So I'm always concerned, and you know, hopefully, God willing, for the rest of my life, I'll do the right things. I'll do my walking, my exercise.
Are you of the mindset? It's kind of like a rhetorical question. Are you of the mindset you control anything, or you're just being being proactive to give yourself the best shot?
Yeah. Okay. So this is an interesting question. So after my treatment, there are 3 support groups that I was attending. There's a men's prostate group. There's a brain fog group for which many people come, especially a lot of women who are getting chemo. Mm-hmm. And there's a after cancer care group in Wellington, where there are a lot of folks who've had serious stuff, incurable stuff, that's, if they're lucky, treatable, that they can live with. Some people are cured. So interesting stuff. So in one of the brain fog sessions, a woman comes in, a younger woman, 45, 48 years old, whatever, I don't know. And she was really upset with the whole process. She's getting chemo for breast cancer, and she's been organic, and she's done this and this and this. And I lived a good life. I did this. She was very proactive in everything. And I said to her, no, you think you were proactive, but you were proactive in the things that you were in control of, but you're not in control of everything. You grew up in a house. You were born somewhere. You lived the first 15 years of your life in a house. You don't know if there was radon in the ground under your house. You don't know if the guy next door in the house next door was emitting some kind of rays for whatever reason. You don't know if the electric wires were over the top of your house, the high intensity, high voltage wires. You don't know where you were exposed to it. You could have the love canal in your backyard. You wouldn't know. There are all these things that you can't control that are external to you, but they're the things that you can control in terms of what you put on your body. At a certain age, you learn, go to the environmental working group, learn what cosmetics are poison. Mm-hmm. Learn that the glyphosate that Monsanto makes to spray on the crops is poison. It kills the bacteria in your gut. You don't have an immune system because that's the basis of your immune system comes out of your gut, your microbiome. And most of the genes that affect your life are the genes and the bacteria in your body and on your body. So we have to be careful. Watch the toothpaste that you use. Fluoride's not a good idea. It's a waste product of fertilizer manufacturing. The pesticides are a problem. So we eat almost organic. My diet's everything that needs to be organic is organic. What doesn't have to be organic isn't. The Environmental Working Group publishes a list of a dirty dozen, the 12 things you can't eat that are, unless they're organic, and the 15 things that you don't need to be organic, and things that are in between. They also publish a listing of the cosmetics you can put on, the shampoo you can put on, the soap you can use, the dishwashing detergent. That stuff gets in your skin. The biggest organ in your body lets anything in. You don't have a defense mechanism. At least what you eat goes through the liver, and if your liver is strong enough, it'll help try to detoxify you. But you put poison on your skin that's got lead in it. How many lipsticks still have lead in it? You know, you're making your system weaker, so you have to make your system stronger, which means you have to be proactive where you can be proactive, because in many areas you can't. You don't affect the amount of cadmium in the air or lead that's in the air from smoke from coal-fired electricity utilities, no matter what the government tells you. And the government is not your friend, regardless who's in power. Mm-hmm. If they're in government, they work for some company who pays them more than the government pays them to do whatever the company wants you to do, whether it's the cigarette lobby or the oil lobby or whatever lobby it is. They're not interested in maximizing your opportunity to have clean food, clean fish, clean air, and all that stuff. You know, get outside and walk. I tell people you got to walk in the park. Don't walk in the street. Get in your car, go to a park, like in Green Cay over here, or any wetlands. There's stuff all over the country. You can find a green area where you can breathe fresh, clean air all year long from whatever's growing over there. Eat wild fish. You need to eat fish. It's got omega-3s that you need that you can't get anywhere else. Salmon, sardines, wild salmon, wild sardines, small line-caught tuna, kippers, herring, if you're lucky, Arctic char. Don't eat tropical fish, don't eat tropical fruits. It's what I was told. Berries and nuts, anti-cancer stuff all over the place, pomegranate and blueberries and raspberries and strawberries, and walnuts are anti-cancer food, they kill cancer. Get all this stuff in your body, eat green, and get as many allies as you can. Positive thinking, positive friends, hang out with people who think like you do. I mean, in the men's group, I love our prostate group. They're like brothers. I mean, everybody who goes to that group is committed. You care about everybody else. And when a new guy comes in who's been diagnosed and he's starting the treatment and he's scared to death because he's going to die, because they told him what he's got, and we tell him you're on the road to recovery. Just do what they tell you to do. Change your diet, change your lifestyle, and you're going to give yourself all the armor you need. We're here to help support you to do that. But people have to take it and run. You can't force feed people. You got to feed yourself.
Okay. You're right. I think we covered a lot. We got a lot. The aim was to encourage people. You were very informative, by the way. Informative the most. Information was very good. Mumbling through my mind if there's anything else I want to get into. You believe, well, obviously being positivity. Is there a faith-based structure that you have that helps you?
Oh well, yeah. I'm Orthodox Jew. I have a belief system, but I know in the Bible it says don't commit suicide, which means you have the ability to commit suicide, which is because you have free choice. If you jump off a building, don't expect an angel to come and catch you on the way down. Doesn't happen. People get struck by lightning, so don't go out on a golf course carrying an umbrella. Not a good idea. In the middle of a thunderstorm. Not a good idea. So there's safe shelters we can go to. Positive thinking is important. Believing that there's a reason for living and having a reason for living and desiring to be a contributor in life is important. And know God put you in this world to do things. And as I say, it's to tell many people, it's not what you get, it's what you do that matters. And believing that you have a good potential for a good outcome, and you have free will with free choice, is part of your commitment in your religious environment. Whatever spiritual belief system you have is to do something proactive and take control and do as well as you can. And our abilities are beyond what we self-limit ourselves in doing. Even, there's an American Indian expression, the trip of 1,000 miles begins with the first step, or Chinese expression, don't judge anybody else before you walk a mile in his moccasins, that kind of stuff. It takes one step, and then it takes two steps. And whatever it is, whatever physical activity you need to do it. Join a bunch of like-minded people, find people who will be supportive of you and give you hope and pull for you. And there are more people around who will do it than you think. And don't eat food in a box. Eat real food. The way you eat what your great-grandmother ate. I mean, a couple came in, an older man and woman came into one of the prostate sessions, and she said something, and I said, don't eat anything your grandmother didn't do. She said, I don't. I make my own marinara sauce. That's it. Cook tomatoes, do it at home, make the stuff. That's it. If it's in a box, it's not good for you. It's highly inflammatory. It's got a lot of crap. There's certain things, but almost everything you can buy. Buy fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, free-range, pesticide-fed cows and sheep if you want to eat that. Wild fish, really range pastured eggs, which is what I eat. There's a lot of conflict that you get that something is good for this and bad for that. Real food isn't a problem.
Not quite sure if you are aware or if you buy into this concept, but I'm a big believer in capacity. We all harbor different capacities in different things. What's your word of encouragement to the world? Somebody not yet diagnosed, others diagnosed, someone will see this, draw from it. Who does not possess your level, your capacity of motivation and self-discipline?
Well, I don't have a lot of self-discipline.
Won't have it, but desire it. So they're just not where you are in capacity of.
Everybody has, firstly, the reality is our potential is much greater than we think. Everybody has a greater capability than they think. We all might not have the same skill level to be world-class tennis players, but we can play ping pong, and we can play, and you get there and you just hit the ball over the net. There's always something that we can do, and the next day we can do it a little bit better. And everything starts with the first step, and the capability is really never limited. Our upward limit is limitless for practical purposes on all levels. There used to be expression, we only use 10% of our brain, and somebody said, really, that's not true. When you look at the brain electricity, everything's working, and the point is we can grow new brain's plastic, we can grow new cells, we can expand our capability no matter where we start. It's potential in life is limitless. I don't want to compare us to the people who are incredible, people who are born missing limbs, who've managed to achieve things. I'm saying there's a normal level for normal people. You'd be surprised. You don't have to be a genius. It's not rocket science. It's really doing one thing at a time. It's eating good things and getting out there and moving. Moving is so important. Having good attitude, follow instructions, be lucky enough to get involved in case if it's a cancer with a good oncological center, and not with somebody who says gives you the wrong information. The library is a wonderful place. Go to the library, talk to a librarian, find a good book to read. There are a lot of great doctors out there writing good books today on longevity. And even though a lot of the doctors disagree with each other, it's irrelevant because all the books are right. You pick that book, you read it, you do what he says, you're 90% of the way there. It's not that difficult. You'd be surprised. Even not eating. Dr. Jason Fong is a nephrologist. He deals with kidney issues, and the kidney issues are basically for people who have diabetes. And he discovered giving people diets didn't work. This one didn't work, this one didn't. Why? Because it was too hard to follow diets. So he came up with another experiment because there was some success, and he wrote a book on intermittent fasting, which means you don't eat for 10 hours at a time, or 12 hours, or 14 hours. And I'm also following that process now. And he said, it's really easy to tell people, don't eat anything. Go for a day. Eat, finish your dinner at 7:30, and don't eat the next day till 11 o'clock in the morning. And then one day a week, see if you can go to 2 o'clock. And do this and do that. Do it every week or every other week. And there's so many different patterns that he developed. So actually doing nothing produces a good result in people reversing diabetes. Could you imagine that? People who had diabetes, I still treated thousands of people, and a lot of them have resolved their diabetic issues for type 2 diabetes, which is a problem of too much insulin. And it's without drugs eventually, so they're off the drugs. And for a lot of people, it's not that difficult. It just takes a little bit of effort, finding somebody and finding a good book. The library's got tons of good books. And you don't even have to spend any money. You take a book. Over here, you can take it for 3 weeks, go renew it. Another 3 weeks, you can live with the book. If you love it, buy it. It'll be your second Bible. It'll keep your life on a straight line. You'll have good advice and a good guideline from doctors who really care, who are now leading edge. So one of the problems, the standard of care is what the insurance companies paid for. It's 15 years out of date. I was lucky. My colleagues were lucky. We came in a time where the radiation that we're using today that we got is pretty new. It's a lot more advanced than 5 years ago, considerably advanced over 10 years ago. Side effects are minimal. That's more on the good, less on the bad. And it gets better all the time. But it takes a while, so you have to read. And you can read. Anybody can read. Get a book. Say, this makes sense. Talk to people.
Okay. Harvey, thank you for your time. It's been
Good
great.
luck to everybody.
Thank you.